Today I want to share with you some of the things we've done since we last met 12 months ago. Back last autumn we used to enjoy the opportunity to meet face to face, to bounce ideas off each other and sometimes to resolve our differences over a cup of tea in the cafe before the meeting or over Eileen's choice of curry after the meeting had closed. But since March we've met together on Zoom and we're slowly getting on top of the technology. Zoom does save the time and expense of rail fares for the lengthy journeys which some of us have to make to our more habitual Pimlico rendezvous. How we shall meet in the next 12 months is anybody's guess. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to Margaret Campbell, who produces our newsletter, looks after our Facebook account, as well as being our safeguarding officer, and also to Richard Davis, who is not only hosting today's meeting, but also cares for our website. As trustees, we take very seriously our responsibilities, not only towards you, our generous donors, but also towards the people of rural Malawi, whom you entrust us to support. Key to that is the tireless work of our project officer, Eileen Edgington, and our team in Malawi, made up of Mr. Grafid Tioni, our representative, and Mr. Johnny Somba, our technical advisor. You'll be seeing an interview with Grafid a little bit later today. Grafid has been of immense value to MACS over the many years, and I'm delighted that he's agreed to remain with us at least till the end of 2022. For every one of our 2 monthly meetings, Grafid draws up a detailed report on the progress of each project with recommendations for action. The second member of our team is Mr. Johnny Somba, a registered chartered surveyor who approaches each project with great attention to detail and who is not afraid to tell somebody to build it again if it's in the wrong place or of the wrong materials. Together they make a formidable team. The auditing of diocesan accounts is something we encourage, and along with Birmingham Diocese and USPG we finance an annual audit for the 7 institutions in the Diocese of Upper Sheery. But at the heart of what we're trying to do are the people of rural Malawi. I've written before about Nelson, who as a 17-year-old was hit by a car on the main road close to St Luke's Hospital at Malosa in November 1975. At that time my wife was working as a doctor at St Luke's, and she assisted the senior medical officer, Dr. Hare Loyick, as he operated on Nelson's ruptured spleen. Nelson survived, and 40 years later, now seriously ill with cancer, he met my wife again, this time with a team of palliative care workers from St Luke's. The skill of the doctors, working in the single operating theatre at Malosa, had given him 40 years of life, for which he is heartily grateful. Hopefully there are 40 years of life lying ahead of Blessed, the young child that was born by caesarean section in the same operating theatre just a month or so ago. St Luke's is not a jewel in the crown of the Diocese of Upper Sheery because of what it looks like, but because it saves the lives of the people of rural Malawi, and will be able to do so even more effectively in the future because of the new operating theatre block, financed by your generous giving, not the least from the people of the Diocese of Glasgow and Galloway, who were persuaded by Alistair Watson to make this project their Lenten appeal, and the Capricorn Trust, represented here today by Dr. Susanna Wood, who herself used to work at St Luke's. To Susanna, to Alistair, to the people of Glasgow and Galloway, and to all of you who contributed towards this project, on behalf of Nelson and Blessed and so many others whose lives have been changed by the work of the doctors and nurses of this hospital, we are deeply grateful. Our appeal in 2020 has been for the children from the Nchisi district in the Diocese of Lake Malawi. Your generosity is enabling them to move from lessons under a tree to lessons under the safety and security of a proper roof in a proper classroom. In partnership with Oscar Mponda, the project officer of the Diocese of Lake Malawi, we've managed to fund 12 classrooms in 5 primary schools at a likely cost of some £82,200. Thank you to those of you who contributed to that cause. Your generosity has really made a difference to those young people as they get back to their education just this month in Malawi. The origins of MACS as a charity lie in helping the young women and men of Malawi in their secondary education. And in the last year we provided bursaries for 43 girls and 22 boys so that they could complete their secondary education at a cost of nearly £19,000. The teachers have reported on their progress term after term, and the pupils have sent their thanks year after year. At the Chile Malay Training Centre, we helped 10 women to attend vocational courses at a cost of just over £1,300. And for a nurse at St Martin's Hospital Malindi, we were able to provide a new roof and a kitchen and a toilet for her home at the cost of almost £9,000. While at Nkopi, the whole communities benefited from a new pump for their water system. And then, towards the end of March, COVID-19 reached Malawi. Today there have been nearly 49,000 tests and 178 recorded deaths. The government tried to enforce a lockdown, only to be rebuffed by the Supreme Court on the grounds that no provision had been made for the 89% of Malawians who worked in the informal sector and depended on their daily earnings for survival. In March, the schools were closed, and immediately there were requests for assistance from the boarding schools, who depended on student fees for the third term to pay support staff. These are the people who cut the grass, maintain the buildings, and keep the place clean and secure. The head of St Michael's Girls' School, Malindi, wrote, "The total dependence on school fees, which are not there now, is causing struggles and challenges on the smooth running of the school. Thinking how we're going to pay salaries for the support staffs that you have stayed for 2 months without salary, i.e. March and April 2020. As a head teacher with a heavy heart, I do not have any idea of where to get the support staff's salaries. All their families depend on them for their daily needs. The parents cannot pay school fees balanced because their children are at home. Malindi is sailing in bad waters without any solution to bail it out." Well, digging into our reserves, we managed to contribute £2,000 each to Malindi, Malosa and Bishop and Teka secondary schools. Nearer to the front line were the staff of the 3 hospitals at St Luke's, St Martin's and St Anne's, and here we were happy to provide £7,800 for PPE to the great relief of the staff. And now term has started, we've been able to make a similar contribution for PPE towards our secondary schools. On their behalf, and all the people of rural Malawi, we say to you, our supporters, Zikomo Kwambiri.